The letter bull run in XRP has finally begun. This is especially true since an important XRP triangle formed just in the last few minutes. And well, XRP is almost certain to reach a new all-time high, going above $0.70 after rising about 20% in just the last couple of hours. This is a very positive sign. But why? Yes, it's because everyone agreed. Because Gary Gensler is being investigated properly just hours after Donald J. Trump was chosen president. We also learned today that one of the biggest cryptocurrency companies, crypto.com, has just sued Gary Gensler and the SEC. Also, let's not forget that we have legal confirmation that the lawsuit against Ripple in South Carolina has been settled. Indeed, according to a number of agreements and tweets, Ripple can pay $250 million fine after the U.S. Security Commission. It approves a deal that gives Ripple XRP a decision. This is a huge sign of optimism. The payout records are now on the blockchain. Of course, we can't forget that the official price of XRP is set to reach $149.29 and stay there for the next 3 days, or until November 15th. We're going to take a close look at all of this information because it is very bullish. Before we start, I want to remind you to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. Also, remember to subscribe because we're going to give away over 10,000 XRP for free. Enter, just hit the like button, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Then leave a comment in the comments part with your XRP. Best of luck to the winner. So with that out of the way, let's get right to it. Yeah, I think one of the things is that institutional usage has been a bit more limited than we thought it would be. I think it's been slower than we thought. I guess it gained some speed in some ways. There are some ways in which it has been a lot faster. I think that institutions like businesses and groups that aren't financial have been slow to adopt it. I think we all probably thought there would be more of a bottom-up uptake where regular people would use crypto first, like how it made money transfers more accessible. And that didn't really show up, but I guess what's interesting is that the type of money machine was kind of right for accepting it. When I think about how far tech has come, I see how it has taken over many different businesses. For example, tech has taken over retail for companies like Amazon, and tech has taken over music. With virtual downloads and streaming services, I think tech is going to change finance, and I think we're already seeing it with the institutional defiance we're seeing now. The fact that these are institutional adoptions makes them very interesting, but they're not many like the Ripple you may already know, which was one of the first payment systems used by businesses. But that wasn't organizations that taught their clients about the blockchain itself. The customer just charged, and the customer didn't understand what they were saying. Yes, right on. I believe we are just now beginning to see institutions that are doing things like issuing stable cash or tokenizing real international goods and really bringing their customers to those layer one blockchains. And I think that's an exciting version for wide use, which I think we're just starting to see now. But when you think about the imaginative image, or even, we'll talk and I'll go off script a piece. Go ahead and read it. We're going to talk about good things, but I already told the group that we could go anywhere from here. Who will say bad things about him? They can't yell at me. They only need to rip out the script. They do yell at me. But I'm really interested in the real thoughts behind starting the XRP ledger. What were some of the reasons you thought, those are the reasons we will build a better blockchain for Bills? Just talk about maybe a few of those early conversations to show how it all started. I think the first thing we thought about was how Bitcoin had just become famous, and we were starting to learn about it. If you thought, like a lot of other people did at the time, that Bitcoin might just take over the market, that's one thing we learned. It's like a lot of other things. You believe something different now. You might think that if we all believed the same thing, it would be interesting. Any kind of payment network would be great if everyone in the world could use it. It became clear that the idea that Bitcoin would somehow fix interoperability because anyone could use it for anything was just as unrealistic as the idea that any payment system would somehow fix interoperability. When we first looked at the XRP system, we thought the proof of work wasn't really going to work. We're kind of ahead of schedule. In that story, the first cracks were acting. Another thing we learned was that about 99.99% of the world's costs weren't in blockchain at the time, and probably wouldn't be for a while. I guess that's why we call them bridges these days. They join. So one of the first things we added to the XRP system were issued assets, which are now known as stable coins in a DEX, and this kind of multi-asset The idea that blockchain could be used for payment, that it wouldn't have to be a local cryptocurrency though. As someone who wasn't there at the beginning, I think it's amazing how much insight you all had about things like a DEX and an AM. I think it was way ahead of its time. And I think the XRP system doesn't get enough credit for what it did. I can hear you saying that it was created with the idea that if 99.9% of all value isn't always on chain, you need to find ways to get it on chain, make it liquid, and make it available. Yes, it is funny that those rules now have names. At the time, you know that we didn't call it a DEX, but we did build a DEX in 2012, and we didn't call them strong cash, but they did have strong cash in the very first versions. Plus, we had something that wasn't revolutionary at the time, but was revolutionary back then, bills that you could change. When you have a Bitcoin getting address and want to change it because you want to change how your money is handled, you need to trade who can receive your bills. You need to give everyone a new address. This idea that an account is something you can have and change is very foreign to Bitcoin and makes it hard to sell. But Ethereum has built a way around that idea. As a result, it was pretty exciting to see how some of these standards came into being and how Ethereum carved out its own place in the world. Now, there is a huge amount of information we need to go over, such as the fact that 200 financial institutions are working together to use XRP for payments and buy it. There is a lot more information than that. With that out of the way, let's jump right in. According to Ling Report,